So there is a surge in book banning. And so there are several articles about this. There's these conservative groups that have been going to libraries and they've been banning books that are in school libraries, and most of the books that they've been banning are books that are black and Hispanic authors or have anything to do with um, LGBT issues, anything having to do with something that is opposed to being a part of their conservative belief set, then that book somehow is on the ban or on the ban list or on the chopping block. So a fast growing network of conservative groups is fueling a surge in book bans. This is by Elizabeth A. Harris and Alexander Alter. And so there are names for these groups. And Jen Reagan Miller, Jen Cousins, Stefana Farrell of a Florida Freedom is what they call themselves to Read Project, which opposes restrictions on books. Okay, so this is a group right here. I guess they oppose the restrictions on books. So the Keller Independent School District just outside of Dallas passed a new rule in November. Okay, so it banned books from its libraries that included the concept of gender fluidity. And so the change was pushed by three new school board members elected in May, which support the Patriot Mobile, a self-described Christian cell phone carrier. Um, Through its political action committee, Patriot Mobile poured hundreds of millions of dollars in the Texas school board races to promote candidates with conservative views on race, gender, and sexuality, including on which books children can access at school. So that is what the growing situation is in this. Um, it's been going on for quite a while now recently, especially since the elections and the issue with Donald Trump not being the president. It seems like a lot of things have been happening. So, but recently the issue has been supercharged by a rapidly growing and increasing influential constellation of conservative groups. So the organization frequently describe themselves as defending parental rights. Some are new and others are long-standing, but a recent focus on books. Some work at the district, state level. Others have a national reach, and over the past 2 years or so, they have grown vastly more organized, interconnected, and well-funded and effective. So that's what's been happening. So basically, what I've seen it to be is that taking all of the books that black authors, Hispanic authors, anything having to do with gender fluidity and LGBTQ issues and race issues. And so it's basically validating or backing up what I was saying. So in practice, the books most frequently targeted for removal have been about black or LGBTQ people, according to the American Library Association. And so there's more in this article, so let me go up there. So I just wanted you to see that part. So it says this is not about banning books, that's what they claim. So it's about protecting the innocence of the children. This is said by Keith Flaw, one of the founders of Florida Citizens Alliance, a conservative group focused on education and letting the parents decide what child gets rather than having government schools indoctrinate the kids. Actually, what it seems like to me, and I'm going to add my personal opinion, I feel like they're the ones that are doing the indoctrinating. They're trying to get people to basically side with their conservative views, and they want to take out any other books that would explore other social issues that are happening right now in this world and have happened even before, prior to their kids getting in the library and seeing any of the content. It's sort of like you're hiding information from your kids, and then that's going to make them more curious to go look it up. If you're banning it, what is it that you don't want your kids to see? So that just heightens the curiosity. And so I feel like it's the other way around. So that's trying to indoctrinate people to not really be um expressive, to silence people, and to close their minds off to what is going on in the world today. And then kids don't have an opportunity to make decisions when they get to a certain age to decide how they feel about it. And so the materials the group's object are often described in policy and legislation. Okay, so it says as sensitive, inappropriate, or pornographic. So that's what they claim. So in practice, the books most frequented, like I said, are Black and LGBTQ people. So that's not a surprise, is it? And so that just tells you right there what the whole agenda is. If you ask me, that's my personal opinion. I believe this is like an agenda to get rid of and silence people of color in any way, shape, form, or possible. So in Texas, 11 school board candidates they backed the Patriot Mobile Action and the Political Action Committee formed by the cell phone company. So one in 4 districts this year, including Keller, the committee's aim is to eliminate critical race theory. So that's where this whole thing originated from, is the race theory being taught in the school. They claim they thought it was being taught in the elementary schools, but it actually is taught at the college level. And so then there was this fury of parents, and that's when all these people started organizing to ban books. So the LGBTQ indoctrination from schools is what they call in critical race theory. That's what they say. So Leigh Wham Ganas, I don't know if I'm saying it right. I don't know how to say that last name. So it's executive director. So I'm just going to say Leigh. Okay, director said on Stephen Bannon's show, War Room. Okay, so basically Stephen Bannon, he had them. They're all like political, conservative, right-wing pundit people. So even books with sexual content can be problematic if they include LGBTQ characters because they are sexualizing children, right? She says, so it is normalizing a lifestyle that is a sexual choice. That's coming from their mouth, not me. So those kinds of lifestyles, she added, shouldn't be forced down the throats of families who don't agree. So by August, about 3, and then it could also be looked at the other way around too. The lifestyles of what their beliefs are shouldn't also be forced and shoved down the throats of people who don't agree. So I'm just saying that in rebut of what this person is saying. So it could be, people could look at it that way. So by August, about 3 months after a new member were seated, the Keller School Board had restricted or prohibited books containing profanity, violence, sex scenes, or nudity. Which kids, we live in an era of technology and social media. We have cell phones, we have videos, we have all kinds of things, and kids are going to see stuff even if you don't want them to see it. Their friends are looking at it, and somehow, even if their friends aren't looking at it, kids have access to things that we didn't have access to when we were growing up. And so everything is not secretive anymore. It's out there for kids to, even if you don't want them to see it, they're going to see it. So by August, 3 months after the new members were seated, the Keller School Board had redistricted the restricted the prohibited books containing profanity, violence, sex scenes, and nudity. So these changes resulted in the removal of 20 books from the district schools, including, now listen to the names of the books: Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, several young adult novels with LGBTQ characters such as Adam Silvera's More Happy Than Not. In November, the board added and banned a book that referred to gender fluidity. Lainey Hawes, who has 4 children in Keller School, was there that day, and she and other parents felt outflanked, and she said, by deep-pocketed organizations whose actions can change long-standing policies in a matter of months. So they ran. So this is where all this is coming from. These are people with money. And so you see all this homelessness and all this eviction and all these things that are happening. But these people, they got money to spend money doing all of this, but they're not helping the social issues that are going on in the world today, which probably happening in their areas too, where it's high levels of poverty and homelessness, and it's just getting worse and worse. But they got money to spend to ban some books. I'm just giving you a clue. So they ran the campaign. So we're going on to get pornography and sexual explicit books out of our schools and libraries, said, which pornography and sexually explicit type of books, that kind of stuff, I don't even know why they would really be in libraries, but if they are, I mean, I think they would section them somewhere. So I'm just saying, I'm not sure, but I've never wanted to go hunt for those books. I know some kids that are curious might look for stuff like that, but think about people who have magazines and stuff in their house, their adult counterparts or their family members, and then the kids somehow get into them and they find them. So I'm just saying, you can ban all the books you want. That's at a library, but what goes on in your house behind closed doors is a whole nother story, right? So individuals and groups opposing book restrictions say crafting a national response is difficult since policies are set locally. But some are pushing back, and restrictions said that Emerson Sykes, First Amendment litigator for the American Civil Liberties Union, infringe on students' right to access broad ranges of material without political censorship. Okay, so the ACLU and other advocacy groups filed a federal civil rights complaint against the Keller School District, arguing that banning books about gender fluidity creates a pervasively hostile atmosphere to LGBTQ people and students. So librarians in Texas formed the Freedom Fighters, that's what they call an organization that offers guidance to librarians on handling book challenges. So in Florida, parents who oppose book banning formed the Freedom to Read Project, is what it's called, which urges its members to attend board meetings and tracks the work of the groups like Florida Citizens Alliance. And so we're trying to document the censorship movement, says Stefana Farrell, one of the founders of the Freedom to Read. So these people are trying to help in trying to give students options so that they can be able to read things and have access to books. And I think it has to do with people who want to sit down and talk to their kids about what's going on in the world and not hide stuff from them. Because I feel like when you hide things from them, then they find out from the wrong sources, or they find out in not so great ways. And so if it's somebody that knows how to sit down and talk to them in an unbiased manner about what is going on, rather than hiding things from them, that would be a lot better than trying to just be, um, banning books. I think they're wasting money, really, if you ask me, doing that when they could be putting their money in some of the other social crucial issues that are going on. We have issues that are happening now, that, housing is an issue, but it's usually targeting the people that they're banning the books about. So that's probably why they don't care. So, which is sad. So, But it's a ban. So, according to a recent report, the free speech organization PEN America, there are at least 50 groups across the country working to remove books they object from the library. So, some have seen explosive growth recently of about 300 chapters that PEN tracked 30, not 30, but 73% formed after 2020. And so the growth comes in part from the rise of parental rights organizations during the pandemic, foreign to fight COVID-19 restrictions in schools. Some groups adopted a broader conservative agenda focused on opposing instruction on race, gender, and sexuality, and on removing the books that they regard as inappropriate. And so think about it, the books they regard as inappropriate. So other groups like Florida Citizens Alliance have been around for 10 years, or for not 10 years, but for years. Established in 2013, Alliance has long-standing ties with Governor Ron DeSantis. So its co-founder, Flaw, the pastor Rick Stevens, served on DeSantis' transition committee. So you see where these people are coming from. They already kind of know one another. So the group has also partnership with 100 other groups, including Moms for Liberty, Americans for Prosperity in Florida, a local branch national group funded by billionaires Charles and David Koch. Okay, so 5 years ago, Flan and Stevens helped draft a bill that gave all the county residents, not just parents, power to challenge a book in a school district. Okay, and so opponents say it contributed waves of book challenges. So the bill's supporters, however, say that local tax dollars fund the school system, so all residents have a right to influence how the money's spent. And so the ones that they pay for it, Representative Byron Donald, who is a co-sponsor. He's a co-sponsor of the bill that when he was in Florida legislator. So it's 2021 Porn in Schools report. Florida Citizen Alliance lists books that it says contain incident or indecent and offensive material, including Tango Makes Three, about two male penguins that adopt a baby penguin. And so Alliance has a network of more than 250,000 people it can mobilize to flood politicians with letters referred to by Flaw as the back office. This network sprang into action this year to support a bill that requires Florida districts to report all books objections to the state. Notice how they're mobilizing and they're attacking books instead of attacking homelessness, attacking social issues, people not having health care, people not having adequate housing and food. They are attacking books. So it just seems ridiculous if you ask me. But there's so many other things that are more crucial than attacking books. So the state will then create a list of challenging titles to distribute and distribute it to districts for consideration in their selection procedures. So the Florida Board of Education said it was up to the districts to develop a process for removing or limiting access to specific books, but did not answer questions about how the district should interpret the list. Some librarians and parents are concerned it will have a chilling effect. So this list could be seen as a warning, like don't even bother with these books, said Michelle Garrett, library media supervisor for the school district of Osceola County. And so librarians across the state are already self-censoring for fear of retribution and asking themselves, am I ready to defend this book? Is this worth the fight? And so it's even threatening the people that work in libraries that feel that they're against this stuff. So some of the new groups have become effective political power brokers as well. So Moms for Liberty was funded in Florida in January 2021, and it now has 250 chapters. So in 42 states, the ties that the state Republican Party and the legacy conservative organizations like the Leadership Institute and the Heritage Foundation. So this summer, DeSantis appeared at the Moms for Liberty National Summit in Tampa, Florida, where he denounced woke gender ideology. Okay, so in schools, and argued that the parents have the right to object to explicit books in the libraries. So the summit also drew other prominent political figures far from the right, okay, as well, including Rick Scott of Florida, Trump administration cabinet members Ben Carson, Betsy DeVos. And so in her remarks, DeVos called the dismantling of the Department of Education, which she used to run. So Moms for Liberty has created a political action committee in Florida and won over influential conservative donors such as Julian Fancelli, heir to the public supermarket fortune. This summer, she gave, now listen to the money that they're contributing to all of this stuff. They gave the committee $50,000. And I know it's probably a lot more than that they've been getting. So the group endorsed more than 500 school board candidates across the country this year. Candidates it backed won 272 seats and are now the majority in more than a dozen districts in the state, including North, South Carolina, Indiana, New Jersey, Florida, according to the organization, and Berkeley County, South Carolina. The candidates it supported won 6 seats. And so they're really focused on who's going to get in political seats and who's going to, because that's how you make decisions. And that's how you can like affect millions of people. And so that's what's very scary about these groups like this. They mobilize, they spend their money on this type of stuff. And then the social issues that you see that are pressing, like you see all this homelessness and you see all these evictions, you see the food is expensive, people are hungry, people can't eat. Now they talking about, oh, these people came over here, 800 migrants came over here. You know what's going on in their country, or what have you done to these people to cause them to have to be worried about where to stay, where to live. And then you got people right here, Americans, that don't have any place to stay and live, and you treating them, you know, the same way, you know. And so so it's just crazy, and they got money to be, you know, forging a war on books. So that's the way I'm looking at it. I just think it's really sad, but that's the people in the world we live in, and they can't see how crazy this is. But an analytical framework that has been adopted by conservative activists as a broad term for various teachings about race, and voted to form a committee to evaluate books and remove those with inappropriate sexual pornographic content. So an organization called Utah Parents United, created to fight COVID-19, I believe it goes on, talking about what happened, uh, the restrictions in 2020. So it broadened its agenda to shaping the school curricula in the school collection. So this year, Utah parents formed a political action committee, and it lobbied for a bill banning sensitive material in schools, including books that could have been viewed as pornographic incident and indecent. So group's curriculum director Brooke Steffens gave a presentation to Utah lawmakers about the proposed bill, sharing an example of books to be removed, All Boys Aren't Blue, a memoir about growing up black and queer that includes a depiction of sexual assault, and a genderqueer memoir about being non-binary and includes some sexual explicit scenes as well. So I would believe these are like more like teenagers might read about this stuff, not like little kids. And they probably out of curiosity, or if they're doing some kind of report, or maybe and wanting to know what this, that doesn't mean that that's going to make the kid turn into, whatever they're reading about, or be more, there's a lot of inquisitive children out there. And so they're going to find this stuff even if you ban it. The more you ban it, the more they're going to be wanting to read it. So now you just grown their curiosity even more. So Steffens now argues that the law needs to be more strictly enforced and file complaints with the sheriff's department demanding the removal of 47 books from DeSantis school district. Or not DeSantis, but Davis School District, that is. I said DeSantis. So schools have to abide by the criminal code, she said. So after the law was passed, the number of book challenges began to rise, with a bulk of complaints as well coming from a small number of people. They claim that Mark Peterson, spokesperson for the Utah Department of Education in one school district. And so Alpine 49 books were challenged. The 22 were removed, and among them, All Boys Aren't Blue and Gender Queer. Those were the books that were removed. And so I just thought I would mention that this is going on. This has been a battle, and I don't think it's going to end quickly. But I just wanted to point out to you, notice how they, the people that are involved in all of this have the money to spend on things like this. And here you got people that don't have any place to live, or they might not have any food to eat. And, you would think that they would be more focused on the homeless situation and, some of the situations that are like really crucial about people being displaced. But look who it is that's getting displaced. So I believe that's probably the reason why no action is really done as quickly on those issues. They just want to attack books that have to do with the people that have been really going through a lot with these political attacks. But anyway, that's pretty much how this article goes. I don't know if you can. It's just sad. It just seems like it's not getting any better. The homeless situation has gotten worse. It has gotten worse, and it is steadily getting worse. It is not getting any better. And I don't know why they don't look at those things and think, hey, we need to do something about all these people that are homeless, and try to see if maybe they can work out something with providing like safe housing for people and stuff. But I don't think that they're looking at it like that. They're not looking at it from that point of view. But yes, I believe that we will hear more about this. Sounds like the people that are against some of this or want more of this to be looked at, they're not, the numbers of them is not as loud, and it sounds like it has to do with money as well. So we shall see. I know this is not going to end, at least not anytime soon. But I believe something's going to happen that's going to try to stop some of this, or is going to put on like some type of restriction on the people that are banning certain books.